cringe? It wasn't that
It
cringe.
was not cringe.
But I don't like talking about myself. In my, yeah, there's a typo. Okay. Hey everyone. So I decided to dig deep into my archives and look for my personal insight question responses from 2017. And so these are the responses that got me into Berkeley. So the first, and I think the most important question is, please describe how you have prepared for your intended major, including your readiness to succeed in your upper division courses once you enroll at the university. As a political science major, it's expected that I have to research and write a lot. During high school, I competed in speech and debate where I became more aware of what's going on in the world politically and socially, and was inspired to take action. It was because of debate that I developed advanced researching skills that have been helpful now that I'm a college student, and the ability to research has been imperative in my political science classes. Among many debate topics, my favorite topic was one regarding the Supreme Court's Shelby County v. Holder decision, which would later inspire me to get involved in civic engagement and voting rights. At my time at San Diego City College, I took 2 political science classes with honors contracts, International Relations and American Politics. The contracts necessitated that I completed my own unique projects. For my IR class, I joined the Model United Nations Club, where I represented Australia. As part of the club, I researched the Syrian conflict heavily and took part in a United Nations simulation. In conjunction with my American Politics class, I volunteered for Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign to study the trends of millennial involvement and mobilization techniques by the campaign. I presented my project at the school's annual research symposium later that semester. Additionally, at UC Davis, I took workload English, but I have improved immensely as a writer since then. I now work as an English tutor at San Diego City College, where I assist students with their writing and grammar. Learning about politics was never a chore for me. My passion drove me to excel and do beyond what is required of me in my lower division political science classes. I also was inspired to get involved in my community. The journey that I have taken thus far on the road to getting my degree has been tough, but I believe that I am ready to succeed in my upper division courses because of the skills I've gained and continue to acquire as a political science major. So these are the questions that I chose to respond to. I think they give you a handful of questions that you can choose from, but these are the 3 that I chose. So the first, but the second response overall is, describe an example of your leadership experience you have positively influenced others, help resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. Last semester, I was elected as a senator at large for the Associated Student Organization Southwestern College. Because of the volunteer work that I've done in my community, I was inspired to run for student government. As senator at large, I am a member of 2 standing committees and write resolutions for each respective committee. I also help out at campus events. Prior to the presidential election, we as a student government held a week-long effort where I and fellow senators registered students to vote and passed out informative pamphlets on what was on the ballot. In my first semester in office, I was able to positively influence the student body of my community college by helping students gain valuable experience in their chosen or potential career field and by assisting students with financial need. Most of my success was as a member of the Ways and Means Standing Committee, where I was also secretary. I was the author of resolutions that allocated money towards programs that would aid students in their future careers. Since I authored the resolution that allocated money towards transportation for students to attend King Chavez Day at Thomas Jefferson School of Law. This event was created for aspiring law school students to experience firsthand what it's like to be in law school and prepare for applying for law school. I also authored the resolution that allocated money towards tickets for students to attend the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers National Conference. At this conference, students were able to attend workshops hosted by engineering professionals and network to potentially get internship opportunities. Additionally, our committee's goal for this year is to assist students with financial need. We are on our way to creating an emergency loan program for students who may not get their financial aid in time. We also seek to create and host a fundraising gala to raise money for scholarships. I've been assigned as the chair of the ad hoc committee to organize the fundraising gala, so this will be my big project for the remainder of my term. The third question that I responded to was, describe the most significant challenge you have faced and the steps you have taken to overcome this challenge. How has this challenge affected your academic achievement? Okay, so this is what I wrote. The most significant challenge that I faced was being on the brink of academic dismissal at UC Davis. I realized that majoring in computer engineering was a mistake. I was immensely discouraged because my major-related courses were difficult and my heart was nowhere in it. I also was having great difficulty adjusting to living alone and knowing that attending college was incredibly expensive. I always told myself that I literally couldn't afford to mess up. I was devastated when I got my first F and D+. While I didn't do well my first quarter at Davis, I was able to get out of academic dismissal during my second quarter. I retook the class I failed and passed it. The class that I received a D+ in wasn't offered during winter quarter, so I couldn't retake it then. I took a political science class to get a feel of the major, and I immediately fell in love. I got more organized, planning my days out very particularly. Failing a class took a toll on me because I never received a GPA lower than a 4.0 in high school. I learned to have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, working extra hard instead of expecting automatic success because of my academic success in the past. I withdrew at the beginning of spring quarter because I wanted to save money and figure things out by going home and attending community college. I became a student at San Diego City College, where I excelled in honors and regular courses. I've been a straight A student since. I got a B in astronomy lab. So, anyways, my experience at UC Davis was a huge test of my perseverance. My failures drove me to rock bottom, but I learned not to dwell in what I can't change. I was afraid that my awful first quarter would define me, but I was able to prove to myself that it was merely an expensive bump on the road that put me on the right track to pursuing political science. That's hilarious. Like, if only January 3rd, 2017 me knew what I would go through at Berkeley and beyond. That's hilarious. The last question I chose to respond to was, what have you done to make your school or community a better place? So I am most proud of the activist that I have become in the past year and a half. When I withdrew from Davis, I immediately began to seek out ways I could get involved within my community, especially in civic engagement, which I grew interested in since I learned about the Shelby County v. Holder decision. I believe that a democracy functions best when a majority of the citizens are engaged, not excluded. I began to volunteer with the San Diego Democratic Party by registering new citizens and their families to vote at naturalization ceremonies. As a student at San Diego City College, in conjunction with my honors project for English 101 in fall of 2015, I got involved with the nonprofit organization Alliance San Diego and their civic engagement program, where I canvassed in communities with low propensity voters and informed them about upcoming ballot measures in the city of San Diego, like raising the minimum wage to $11.50. I later volunteered for the Spring Civic Engagement Program, which sought to encourage low propensity voters to vote in the primary election. I also rallied with the organization for 2 ballot initiatives that would create a more inclusive democracy in San Diego. One of the initiatives would move the election of local candidates to the November elections, where citizens are more likely to vote. These ballot initiatives were passed by City Council, and the respective measures passed in the November election, as well as the measure to increase the minimum wage. That was a weird sentence, but I don't know, it's just me. I also did civic engagement work as a volunteer for Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign. I registered voters at events and engaged in phone and door-to-door canvassing to ensure that voters were aware of and will vote at the primary election, regardless of whom they were voting for. I also hosted phone banks at my house and on campus, with a focus on mobilizing millennial voters to get involved. Despite having doors slammed in my face and getting yelled at, knowing that I've directly encouraged members of my community and other communities to get involved in the political process is very rewarding. So those were my responses. Let me check if they're still the same.